Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Monday, October 23rd, the I Can't Do This Alone edition. I'm Zak Rosen. I make another show called The Best Advice Show, and I'm dad to Noah, who's 6, and Ami, who's 3. We live in Detroit.
I'm Jamilah Lemieux. I'm a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who's 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Duarte Geraldino. I'm an editor, journalist, dad to Oya and Olu, and we live just outside of New York City.
So nice to have you back on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure.
The holiday season it's crazy. I can't believe it's right around the corner. And with that, we've got a listener question from a parent who's about to take a big trip with their 3 kids, and they're feeling overwhelmed at the prospect of doing it all on their own. Then we've got a quick but extremely useful question: how to make sure your kids don't lose all their stuff at the playground. We'll talk all about it after this quick break.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now: getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $750 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So, just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
If I would have kept making only the minimum payments on my credit cards, my debt would have taken me 47 years to pay off.
These are real National Debt Relief customers.
I knew I wasn't going to be able to get out of debt by myself.
Credit card, medical, or personal loan debt? National Debt Relief negotiates with your creditors to reduce what you owe.
National Debt Relief got me out of debt.
You could be debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months. Visit nationaldebtrelief.com to learn more and get started. nationaldebtrelief.com.
All right, let's go to our first listener question.
Dear Mom and Dad, I'm in need of your expert advice for an upcoming adventure I'm about to embark on. Air travel with my 3 boys, all by myself. We're flying solo to visit my parents with a short 1-hour flight within Canada and a 6-hour overnight flight to Switzerland. While I'm not a nervous flyer and consider myself quite organized, I would love to hear your best tips to ensure a smooth and enjoyable journey for all of us. I'm sure you have insights that may cover aspects I haven't even thought about yet. For instance, when I need to use the bathroom, should I leave my 4-year-old with the older ones, or is it better, for safety reasons, to take him with me? Your expertise and creative suggestions would be greatly appreciated. I'm eager to gather any tips or strategies that can make this adventure more manageable and fun for the whole family. Flying with the family.
I wish I knew how old the older ones are.
Me too.
Because that's sort of the biggie. And I have to assume that they're no more than 6 years older. So like 10.
The absolute oldest, yeah. I would agree.
So it's sort of a tricky situation. This cuts close to home because I was traveling with my kids and my sister, who also has twins. She clocked me one time. She's like, come on, Duarte. You're doing too much. When I would travel, because I was so concerned, it would be me, my kids, either a friend or a nanny. And she's like, you're traveling like a broke Saudi prince. There are too many people in your caravan. Like, you can do this on your own. So I did it, and it was hard, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. And I only had 2. This person has 3 children. And what I did, I had to sort of plot it out like a heist, like a scavenger hunt. There are 3 critical points to flying. There's the security checkpoint first, right? There's boarding and then seating for a couple of hours. So what I did is we walked through the scenario, we played the game. We're going to go on a flight where we go through the house, pretend what it was like to go through the security checkpoint. And that's important because they have to go through individually. They're not going to let you carry your kids through. right? And so that's the first point. And what I always recommend is that you, the adult, go through first. And that's not intuitive, right? You sort of want your kids to go in first. Problem is, if they're on the other side and you're stalled, they're just dangling on the other side of the security checkpoint by themselves. Whereas if they're behind you, there's at least a line of people who are mean mugging, so they're not going to let your kid run the other way. And the security guards, so it's a little bit more self-contained. And then you can sort of usher them across the checkpoint. That's sort of like the first thing that is incredibly stressful. When my kids were just learning how to walk, I was frustrated because I had to put the stroller through, and then each one had to go through on their own. And I was like, this is way too stressful. So parent always go through first and then bring the kids over. Second point, boarding. Use your privilege of getting early boarding. Don't be late.
Yes.
You're going to get early boarding. Don't be late. It's so important because if you didn't go to the family restroom before, this is your chance to go to the restroom and get yourself situated to see how you're going to do it. And with this person, again, unless you're sitting in a 4-person row, it's kind of difficult because one child is not going to be within hand's length of a parent. But, that's going to be where you need to practice what you're going to do sitting for 6 hours with your kids, what kind of games you're going to have. I always like drawing because then you can pass and tic-tac-toe, things like that. And hopefully if you choose the right flight, they're going to go to sleep. In terms of using the bathroom, everybody goes into the family bathroom together. That's why they have those changing rooms. Nobody's left behind. You really just can't leave a child behind in the airport anywhere. Now, once you're on the flight, a little bit more leeway because they're in their row and they're buckled up and they know not to unbuckle. So maybe you can take your 4-year-old. But that's the only place where I would even dream about letting a child go to the bathroom by him or herself is in a flight where you know what's going to happen. But practice so that they know what it's like. Otherwise, it can be pretty scary or you can feel just stretched too thin, one adult with 3 kids.
I would just add to that blankets and pillows so they can get cozy and relax and hopefully fall asleep. Snacks or a hearty meal before the flight. I mean, you should have snacks for the flight, especially for a 6-hour flight. And I'd imagine, it's an overnight flight, so I don't know if they're going to serve meals, but make sure that they've had something, good on their stomachs so they're a little tired and they'll just knock out, hopefully.
Yep.
Maybe not, but it increases the chances that they will if they've had something to eat.
Mm-hmm. What do you do for that earache that they get?
Chewing gum.
Yeah.
My daughter gets it bad sometimes, and gum doesn't always help, but it's the best, And there have been flight attendants who've showed her little tricks like, chew like this or plug ears like that, but it's a pain.
Yeah. But also, getting to, go and pick a pack of gum, at the airport is kind of a special treat, so you can kind of play that up. Also, if you want to get them to sleep, gummy melatonin, that has served us well before, and we lean deep into screens. It's like there's no screen limits with travel. So if your kids happen to be screen zombies like mine when we allow it, use it. That's a huge weight off your back. Duarte, you said to avoid looking like you're stretched too thin. Even if you're not feeling like that, I find that if you present that to airport people, they have more sympathy for you. So just really milk the face of just looking overwhelmed, even if you're not, and you'll be going to the front of lines. You'll be getting, maybe even upgrades. You never know. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing the only other thing that I would add is, because this is a really long flight, do something when you get to the gate that is going to expend their energy the best that you can. So encouraging them just to run in circles for an hour, just anything where you can keep your eye on them, but they will be a little tired going into the flight. That certainly will help too.
I saw this one mom, Zach, who brought a little jump rope, and her kids were jumping rope, waiting. I was like, that is so smart.
That is so smart, because it packs really easily.
Yeah, and
that's really smart.
The flight was delayed, and they were just jumping, and we were all like, what in the world?
Double Dutch at the gate. You love to see it.
Yeah.
Flying with the family, we hope you have a great trip, and let us know how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
All right, we have one more question.
Does anyone have a good suggestion on how to label kids' clothes / water bottles in a way that they will come back from the lost and found / playground? We have the good stickers, we have written names on the inside of the coats, but it doesn't seem to help. Do I just buy the most obnoxious gear I can find? Lost, but not always found.
Yeah. Just the most obnoxious.
Yes. Bright colors and unique patterns. Go for stuff that's easy to recognize so it'll stand out. But guess what? They're still going to lose it. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah. You say you have the good labels, but I just wanted to flag, there's a Wirecutter article from this past summer by Lauren Sullivan where they picked the best labels for kids' school gear and clothing. We'll put that in the show notes, but their pick was the Name Bubbles custom school supply labels. They're easy design labels. They're durable. They show no signs of wear or tear after 60 plus washes. So even though that might not be your issue, I did like doing label research. So that's just an FYI. I think, like Jamilah said, your kids are going to lose stuff, but there might be something we can do at home to just like encourage them to be responsible for their stuff. I know that's a lot easier said than done. Like I've lost like, there's like pairs of pants that I bought in my 30s that I have no idea what happened to them. So easier said than done, but it might be, a good time to talk about like, you are responsible for this. You are old enough to take care of fill in the blank. But then if they do, when they do lose it, not to be so hard on them.
It's so difficult because it's based on age, right? If you're so young, you can't expect someone to keep track of all their possessions. It's just so hard enough. Bright colors, like Jamilah said, bright, and the name, but also, don't go crazy, get them too expensive things because things will get lost.
Yeah. If you're getting hand-me-downs or you're not spending too much on clothes, it's also not as painful to lose them.
I love hand-me-downs.
Oh, I mean, our kids grow so fast. It's especially shoes. I hate buying new shoes. It's too much.
My daughter,
and twins. Oh man,
Naima wears a woman's 7.5 now.
Oh my!
Unbelievable!
Wow!
Like kids' shoe days are over. Like they still make children's shoes in her size. I forget what size she wears in kids, but there's like very little difference in price at this point. It's like buying a grown-up shoes.
Oh my goodness! Do you have a foot that's 7.5 too, or you're a foot bigger?
I wish. No, I wear a 10, so she's gonna probably end up wearing a 10 herself. I hope she lands at a 10, because then we can share shoes. That would be great.
Oh, nice.
That would be great. Listeners, we know that you have all the great hacks, so send them along for Lost But Not Always Found. Email us at momanddad@slate.com or leave a voice message at 646-357-9318. Finally, let's move on to recommendations. Duarte, what are you recommending this week?
So my kids are just focusing on reading, and so I found these alphabet locks, these little toy locks. I'm not sure if you guys used them before, but, they have as many locks as there are letters, and each one has a key with a letter. And what you do is you got to find the key that matches the lock, and it teaches fine motor skills. You have to recognize the alphabet. I just love them, and it's like hours of fun. Obviously, they're a lot of little pieces, so you can't really travel with them, but, you put them out on their own, and it's just fantastic. I was like, what?
So the key is also the shape of a letter?
No. It's just a regular lock and key, but the lock has, for example, an M on it, but the key also has an M, and you got to find, the M key within all the alphabets that matches this lock. And it just, I was like, oh my God, this is sort of, it hits all the boxes. Fine motor skills, literacy, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
Engineering. They're cheap too. This is like really, really cheap. So this is not inexpensive. But, I think that the big expense is the time to cleaning all these pieces up. Because you got to figure you have 26 keys and 26 locks that you got to deal with.
Oh, that's cool. I'm looking at a company called Lakeshore Learning that has it. I don't know. Do you have a particular?
That's the one that I have. That's like the big name brand. But there are all sorts of knockoffs that just do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's a key and a lock.
Great.
It's not too
cool. Love it. What about you, Jamilah?
I'm recommending Patti Labelle's macaroni and cheese recipe. I remember her sharing it on like maybe Oprah years ago when I was a teenager, and this is how I learned how to make macaroni and cheese, baked Southern style macaroni and cheese. There's one caveat. I omit the Velveeta.
I was just going to say, I'm looking this up. The Velveeta, that's an interesting
Yeah,
choice.
I think Velveeta is disgusting. I mean, I'd be curious to see I am kind of curious as to how it all plays together, you know, and this is her famous recipe that she makes for all the celebrities and stuff. But without the Velveeta, it is great. And we made some last week and it was delicious.
Do you replace the Velveeta with a different cheese?
I use a little extra cheddar.
Okay.
You know, I grew up on Velveeta. I mean, we thought that was high cheese. We used to say Velveeta. Now I won't touch the stuff. But it was good growing up. I just remember
that gooey bag. Yeah, I can taste it right now. Yeah, I used to love that too. And she uses Munster cheese, I see, which is cool. Munster, cheddar, Monterey. Nice. There's really nothing better than baked mac and cheese.
You know, apparently that was the original mac and cheese. It used to be, because that's like an American thing, right? So a very, very American. And it used to be called macaroni pie. Like it was always supposed to be that way. And then we got into this creamy mess that people look at today. But that's like the original, that Southern macaroni pie thing.
The best. The best. On last week's show, I was talking about Noah's first sleepover, so I don't think it's a coincidence that what I'm recommending this week is Mario Lopez. You might know him as AC Slater from Saved by the Bell. I don't know how, I didn't think I was following him on Instagram, but he found me on Insta. The algorithm served him to me, but does all these, I mean, if you remember from Saved by the Bell, he's a great dancer. So he does these dances with his teenage daughter on Instagram. And it's just like the cutest thing. And it brought me so much joy just seeing like, a daughter into her teenage years still wanting to spend time with her dad. So, which was what I was talking about being insecure about after Noah's first sleepover. So I think that like that video found me at the perfect time. And so if you're looking for a little pick me up, just look at AC Slater dancing with his daughter.
Cute.
I'm going to check that one out.
And that's our show. Please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and tell your friends. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Rosemary Belson and Maura Curry. Shasha Leonard is the voice of our listeners. Alicia Montgomery is the VP of Slate Audio. For Jamilah Lemieux and Duarte Geraldino, I'm Zak Rosen. Thank you for listening.